pretty people of the internet, and welcome to my channel. My name is Annika and today I'm going to talk about how to study when you're pregnant. I was pregnant during my second year of law school here in the US and had my baby during the summer. He is 1 year old now. I just graduated law school in May. I have a video that I will link up here about my experience being pregnant and having a baby in law school if you want to check that out. This video is going to be specifically about how to study when you're pregnant. And of course, I want to disclaim everything I'm saying. Pregnancy is very different for different people. You will be living under different circumstances than me, maybe in a different school environment. I don't know if you're in high school, college, professional school, master's degrees. I don't know. So I'm trying to make this like pretty general so that it can be helpful to the most people as possible. Pregnancy is also very different for people, and having different pregnancies can be different, so take everything with a grain of salt. I'm coming from my experience. My pregnancy wasn't like super bad, but I was very tired. I had a very hard time focusing. I forgot pretty much everything. I could only focus for like 15 minutes. My first trimester, I couldn't really eat a whole lot. I had really bad food aversion, so I was extremely tired and nauseous because of that. I was also working like 14-hour days, 6 days a week, commuting, working 3 jobs, full-time law student. I was busy. Looking back at it, I honestly don't really know how I made it through, but I did. So I'm trying to pull out the things I did to try to give it to you. My first advice is to give yourself a lot of grace, especially during the first trimester. It's called the worst trimester for a reason. It's awful. For me, it was the worst in many ways. For one, most people didn't know I was pregnant during my first trimester, so I kind of had to like suffer in silence. It's fairly common for people to not tell until they are about 12 weeks along, which is the very end of the first trimester, because the rate in case of miscarriage drops dramatically after 12 weeks. So that's kind of like a pretty normal benchmark. Of course, you can tell people whenever you feel like it. I started telling people earlier than 12 weeks because I was having such a hard time and I wanted people to like know why. So during pregnancy, and especially the first trimester, you're kind of in survival mode. Like, your body's going through a lot. You're probably going to be tired, you might be sick. You just have to give yourself grace, rest as much as you can, and kind of do the bare minimum. I know that's not like great study advice, but do the bare minimum that's required. And if you have extra energy and extra time, you can do the extra work. But it's more important that you do the basics than you remembering everything and being ready for the exam on that day. During my first trimester, I did the bare minimum. I got the reading done. I got my notes done, and that was it. I didn't have the extra energy to do things like outline and ask a lot of questions. I couldn't do that. So I was just doing what I had to do to make it through. And I mean, I survived, but it felt a lot more stressful than other semesters, but it was a stressful situation. I didn't have the time or energy to study like I normally would. I was pregnant in law school, and law school includes a lot of reading. That's kind of like the main thing you do, is just read cases. For me, that was very hard to do for an extended period of time, so I had to break up the way I studied. I both had to break up kind of like my reading sessions. I had to change between different subjects a lot more than I usually do, and I had to find alternative ways to study and process the information. I couldn't just sit and read for 4 hours like I would normally be able to do with a few breaks. I just couldn't, that did nothing for me. So I had to take more breaks to change up between reading and taking notes and making flashcards and watching maybe some online lectures. I just had to do a lot more to change things up so that I could remain focused. There are probably going to be certain days when you're feeling a lot better than other days. Spend those days studying as much as you can, because I know for me those days were few and far between. The last thing I wanted to do was study, but that's when I really had to sit down and do it because I had the energy, I had the mental focus. Some people get super energized during pregnancy, they have a lot of creative energy, they feel great. that's you, I'm very happy for you. That wasn't me. I think this would have been a lot easier if it was like that. In my first trimester, not only was I tired and sick, but I had absolutely no motivation to do anything. And I mean like anything. Like I didn't want to watch TV, I didn't want to play video games, I didn't want to read, I didn't want to do anything. So studying was very hard. But it was something that I knew I had to do, I knew I had to get done. So I kind of just did it hard and fast, and probably like not as detailed as I normally did. But I got it done. During my second and third trimester, I really relied on other people to be able to study well. I asked other people for notes for classes I missed or chunks of time that I missed in lecture when I had to go to the bathroom 6 times. When you're pregnant, your life both outside and in class is probably going to change. A few things that changed for me is that I ate in literally every single lecture I was in. I just had like a shit ton of snacks in my lunch bag, and during every single lecture I just had to sit there and eat constantly because I was starving. I also had to pee at least once during an hour and 15-minute lecture, so I had to get up and move and go to the bathroom a lot. That kind of also helped me because I was only able to focus for like 15-20 minutes, so being able to take that bathroom break, move around a little bit, kind of gave my brain a break so that I could come back and study and focus better once I was in lecture. I don't want to call it my level of pride, but that's kind of the best way to describe it. Kind of dropped when I was pregnant. I kind of knew that I just had to get things done, so even if I asked what I would normally think would be very stupid questions, I just asked them because I didn't have the mental energy to try to figure it out on my own. So instead of being like, oh okay, like no, that's fine that I don't get it, I'll just go through my notes, reread the cases, I would just raise my hand and go like, what's going on? You totally missed me at this point. I know some other people who have been pregnant during school time, and things they have done that have been helpful to them is to divide up work between yourself and a friend. So if for instance you have like math problems that you need to work on, if you are able to, if your teacher or professor allows it, divide it up between you and a friend, have you solve it some parts, have your friend do one part, and then tell each other how you got to the answer, show your thinking and how you got there, and then work on it collaboratively could help. For law school, I know people did this with cases, like you read these 2 cases, I read these 2 cases, we brief it, give each other the brief and like a breakdown of what's going on in the case, in order to save a little bit of time and mental energy that you have to spend elsewhere. I think being pregnant in school is always going to be a bit of a lonely experience, just being pregnant in general. I think no matter what level you're at, you're going to be cut out socially from a lot of things. Not necessarily because people are doing it on purpose, but because, you know, if the one thing that your group of friends do is go to the bars, they're maybe going to stop inviting you because you can't drink and they don't want to be weird about it. Or if what you usually do is go to like dance classes together or rock climbing, obviously you can't do some of those things because you're pregnant, so they might not invite you because they don't want you to feel bad. But it feels bad to not be invited, so you have to sort of insert yourself into situations to be social. So this would be a great time to double up on your social time and your study time by doing things like having study groups or working collaboratively with your classmates. For instance, if you have to do a presentation, you can do it alone or in groups. Try to do it in a group with other people so that you don't have to carry the whole load yourself. Try to make studying as physically comfortable as possible because you're gonna still have to do a lot of it, especially towards the end of your pregnancy, so like the 3rd trimester onward. It can be an incredibly uncomfortable experience. Sitting all the time isn't very good for you, so make sure that you mix things up. Maybe you can use like a standing desk to study for a little bit, go for a walk so you give your bum a little break. I often had to, like in class, get off my chair and like sit raced on my knees because my back would hurt so much from just sitting. When I was pregnant, it was also one of the only times that I've studied a lot on the couch and in bed, just because I needed to change up the position I was sitting in. There are obviously a lot of physical changes that take place during pregnancy, including like you might gain more weight, and at some point you're not allowed to lift very heavy. So this might be a time when you want to change, for instance, to ebooks, or start typing notes instead of taking them by hand, or start taking notes by hand instead of carrying your laptop everywhere, because all that added weight in addition to the added weight on you can be a lot. This is also kind of a very specific thing, but I would really recommend for pregnant students to get a book stand. Your body's already going to take quite a toll on you being pregnant, but sitting bent over like this to read all the time is really going to add to that. So if you can get like a cheap, like I think this was like a $20 book stand off of Amazon, just to keep my books up so I can keep the posture a little bit, because that's really gonna go when you have a baby, especially if you're breastfeeding. You're gonna sit hunched over all the time and it really hurts. So if you can do something as simple as getting a book stand to really help with your posture and pain management during pregnancy, I would definitely recommend it. For me personally, it was a lot harder to study when I was pregnant than when I had a new baby, because when you have a new baby, other people can help, while when you're pregnant, it's kind of all on you. There are a few things you can do to make this easier. Ask your partner and the people that you live with to help out more. Maybe you normally cook all the dinners, but now you need that extra time to rest and to study. So ask your partner and people you live with to pick up on places and areas in your life where you are not able to handle everything anymore. Your physical and mental health comes first, and sometimes that means that you have to let up on other things in your life that you were normally in control of. It's okay if your place is messy, as long as you're okay. It's okay if other people do things, even if it takes them a little longer and they don't do it as perfectly well as you would want to. It's okay that you're not eating great if you're eating the foods that you're capable of eating. As someone who struggled with a lot of food aversions, this one's very important to me. Talk to the people at your school, talk to your teachers and professors, talk to your classmates, talk to your academic success center or whatever you have that's equivalent to that. Talk to the school about resources they have for pregnant students and for families. There's usually a lot there that we're not taking advantage of because we don't know that it exists. Schools have to accommodate you when you're pregnant, and that will look different for every person who's pregnant and for every pregnancy. For some people that might mean to talk to your administration to be allowed to take a few extra days off when you're very tired or very sick. For some people that might mean extended time for exams. I didn't really do any of these because I just kind of figured it out on my own, but I always knew that the people were there to help me when I needed it. But the thing is, people need to know. Certain things like testing accommodations can take a lot of time, so the earlier your administration knows, the better. Of course, it has to be on your own terms, like don't tell people before you're ready, that's up to you. But it will often help them if they know earlier rather than like 3 days before the test. Depending on when you're due and how your semester or term works, consider talking to your school about taking a term or semester off as a leave of absence. I was due like 3 weeks after my last final, so I didn't really have to take any time off from school because I had the whole summer to spend at home with my child. But if you're due like in October, you might want to think about maybe not going to school that fall semester. So depending on when you're due, think about and consider whether you can take a term or semester off so that you don't ruin your grades by suddenly being gone because you're in labor for weeks in the middle of the semester. Remember that you're in survival mode for a lot of this. You don't have to be perfect, you don't have to get straight A's. Just getting through school while pregnant is a big achievement, and I hope you're proud of yourself for doing this. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Congratulations on your pregnancy if you are pregnant, and congratulations for thinking about it if you're just thinking about being pregnant. I will make sure to list a few videos here with some general study tips and some vlogs and videos about being pregnant and having a child during law school. I hope this has helped and that you are taking care of yourself, being kind to yourself, and continue to kill it in school. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you all later. Bye!